Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this episode, we are in beautiful Belgium, and more precisely at Place de Portici in the center of Brussels. And what we're going to do in this video is look for a bunch of Belgian comic strip murals because, well, there are a ton of comic strip murals all around the city. And this is the third video on the subject. And as I said, there's so many murals that, well, it deserves many more videos. And me being a Belgian person, having been born in Belgium, I've always loved comic strips. So finding these murals is always kind of like finding a treasure, well, because some of these murals are actually kind of difficult to find. So, well, without any further ado, let's explore. Belgium is known for its waffles and fries, but many people also praise this country for its wide variety of comic strips. Because of this, in 1991, the comic strip route was created as an initiative to embellish empty walls in the city center. 30 years later, the route has more than 50 art pieces, which cover walls of several buildings throughout the inner city of Brussels, as well as the neighborhoods of Laken and Oudegem. One of the most famous comic strips here in Belgium is called Bobe Bobette, or Suske en Wiske in Dutch. And yes, I'm saying the Dutch name because this comic strip actually originated in a Dutch part of Belgium, but this mural has all of the main characters of this comic strip, and the main ones being Bobe Bobette. And the comic strip usually is very humoristic and has themes that have to do with current events and maybe sometimes social themes to them too. But I really love this mural because all the covers of Bobe Bobette are usually in orange, and this mural has quite a lot of orange to it, and all the main characters are also being held by our mascot of Belgium, which is the mannequin piece, or the little peeing boy. So it is really cool to see that our mascot is so strong that he can hold all of the characters in one hand. The English name for Bobe Bobette is Spike and Susie. It was first published in the New Standard in 1945 and soon became popular. Although not in its earlier form, the strip adapted to the line Claire style pioneered by Hergé. This change took place when the strip became serialized in Hergé's Franco-Belgian comic magazine Tintin from 1948 to 1959. The strip still runs daily in the Belgian newspaper, the Standard, and new books continue to be published. 363 official albums have been published as of 2022, and that doesn't even count all the special albums that have been released throughout the years. Ow! I really hope that this gentleman is okay. He just got hit by something up above, and yeah, it was actually done by the clumsiness of this character called Gaston, which is part of a comic strip called Gaston la Gaffe, and in French, la gaffe means the clumsiness. And yeah, he is very clumsy. He does a lot of silly things. And even the character, as he looks like, well, he has disheveled hair and is not always the most awake person, but his stories are really fun and we really love him. He's a very lovable character. He is not mean. He does not do these things on purpose. It's just the way he is. It's his personality. So yeah, we'll just keep him his way, and I've grown up with these comic strips and I love them. And I'm so happy that they actually honored him with one of these murals. The Gaston comic book mural is situated next to the Place de la Monnaie, meaning Mint Square, which is one of the most central public spaces in Brussels, located on one of the busiest pedestrian axes in Europe. The Royal Theatre of La Monnaie is also located on the square. It is from this theatre that the Belgian Revolution started in 1830 after a performance of Auber's opera La Muette de Portici. Today, it is home of the National Opera of Belgium, one of the foremost opera houses in Europe. This is not technically a mural here in the center of the city, but more so a large printing on a storefront. But I did want to highlight it because, well, this printing is of one of my favorite comic strips here in Belgium, and the comic strip name is Game Over, which is a derived comic strip from another comic strip called Kid Paddle. And in this comic strip, well, we follow the little barbarian, the little kid right here, and he's in a video game and he has to get to the end of the level, and every time these stories are about 1 or 2 pages long, and he has to save the princess or just get to the end of the level, but everything always ends in tragedy. That's why the name of the comic strip is Game Over. So yeah, the humor is kind of dark, it is very Belgian, and it's really worth reading it. The Kid Paddle window display is situated on the Place de la Bourse, which translates to Stock Exchange Square. The square was created following the covering of the Rivière Senne between 1867 to 1871. Its central building was used for many years as the Brussels Stock Exchange. Nowadays, the square is used as a gathering place and many important events. Since June 29, 2015, it has been part of a large pedestrian zone in central Brussels called Le Piétonnier. On that occasion, La Bourse building was partially restored to its original appearance and was repaved. They are currently renovating the Bourse building once again. Still, the square remains a pleasant place to visit while in Brussels. Walking through the center of Brussels, I stumbled upon my favorite dog, and his name is Cubitus, and he is the protagonist of the comic strip Cubitus, and he is a very large white dog, and also the foundation for the American cartoon called Wowzer. But in the Belgian comic strip, usually the gags are about 1 page long because they are serialized, and Cubitus is always a very happy dog, as you can see. And in this mural, well, he's taking the place of the mannequin piece and peeing in the fountain of the mannequin piece. And I think that little mannequin is not very happy about that. But yeah, Cubitus is kind of cute, so I think I'll forgive him. Cubitus first appeared in the Franco-Belgian comic magazine Tintin on April 16, 1968. The vast majority of the album publications collect single-page gags, but a few gather collections of shorter stories, or in rare cases one long story throughout the entire album. Walking through the center of the city, we've seen dogs, but there are also cats, like this mural behind me of Billy the Cat, which is a Franco-Belgian comic strip, but it is also a cartoon that is also called Billy the Cat, but the cartoon is kind of different, the Franco-Belgian comic strip. And in this story, well, we follow the story of Billy, which is a cat, and he has his best friend, Monsieur Hubert, which is a stray cat, but he wasn't always a cat. He actually started out as a kid that was very bad and mean to animals, but after getting hit by a car and getting killed by that car, well, he's kind of sent back to Earth in order to live the life of a cat, of an animal, in order to maybe do some good and maybe redeem himself, and if he is lucky, well, become a little kid again and human again. But it is really cool, it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, some tigers did do some kind of damage to the mural, but luckily in Belgium they do a lot of restoration, so I'm really looking forward to them to restoring it and making it pristine once again. Right next to La Gare Centrale in the center of Brussels, we have one of the most epic murals, and it's not on a sidewall, it's on the ceiling of one of the buildings, and it's the mural of Les Schtroumpfs, or in English, the Smurfs. And I don't think I really need to say what the Smurfs are. There's movies, there's cartoons, there's comic strips, so people know them. It's a pretty international cartoon, but this mural is really cool. It highlights a lot of Smurfs, a lot of different stories from the Smurfs, but also a lot of different things from Belgian culture, such as fries and beer and even soccer with the Red Devils. And one of the Smurfs is even making the Atomium, which is our version of kind of the Eiffel Tower, but it is a really cool mural. It's beautiful, it's huge, but if you're walking by the center of the city and you don't look up, you might miss it. The Schtroumpf mural is located right next to the Brussels Central Station, which is the second busiest railway station in Belgium and one of the 3 principal railway stations in Brussels, together with Brussels Midi and Brussels North Station. With that being said, the Schtroumpf mural location is an amazing central place in Brussels that can easily be seen by tourists and locals and is guaranteed to give a smile to anyone passing by it. Not too far from the center of the city, we also have the Quartier des Marolles, which also has quite a few comic strip murals, and the one behind me is of the One of Jojo, which is a comic strip that tells the story of a small little kid that lives at his grandma's place, and he also has his best friend Gros Louis, and they do a lot of silly things. It started out in 1987 in Le Journal de Spirou as a half-page comic strip, then it's expanded into a one-page comic strip, and then into albums, but it is really fun. It's super colorful, and I love how you can immediately tell that it's the Belgian style of drawings, and it's just so pretty, and it makes this whole neighborhood even more colorful. Jojo started out as a half-page gags, but quickly became longer stories. In 1987, Dupuis released Jojo's first album, and many more long-form comic strips have appeared since then. Close to this mural, there's another mural based on a comic strip entitled Passe-moi le ciel, which is a parody of the Christian vision of life after death. In this comic strip, each species, including inanimate objects, have their own paradise guarded by St. Peter, who checks on his computer if they should go to heaven or hell. Brussels is an ever-changing city, and there really are quite a few constructions like this one right here, and it's unfortunately hiding one of the murals. And this is of a Belgian comic strip called The Adventures of Blake and Mortimer, where Blake was an old pilot for the British Army turned MI5 agent that is fighting against spies, and then Mortimer is his physicist friend who goes on adventures with him, and they're always looking for Colonel Ulrich. And yeah, I guess it's kind of befitting of the comic strip since it's kind of hidden and spies need to hide in plain sight. So if you know where to look, you know where to see it, and it is right here in Brussels, hidden behind a building. Going through Brussels, there really are quite a lot of new buildings and a lot of old buildings, and kind of like this mural behind me, which shows an old Belgium. It is just so wonderful to see how the city has evolved and how, well, kind of nostalgic the past is. And this mural is actually of the Belgian comic strip Le Jeune Albert, which is a kind of round character, not to say any other words, and also very egocentric. And he was a secondary character from another comic strip called Bob Fish, but then he became the protagonist of his own little show, his own little album, which was published from 1982 to 1987. And it was a half-page gag sort of comic strip where they had a bunch of little jokes. And yeah, that is pretty much the young Albert, as we would say in English. And yeah, I think that this is probably the perfect place to end this video too. I really hope that you guys enjoyed coming on this visit of Brussels with me. And if you did enjoy it, please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment too. Let me know if there's other places in Brussels or in Belgium or other countries that you'd like me to go visit. Maybe I could make that happen. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.